Today I'm going to talk to you about post-mortem meetings in the software engineering field. What they are, why you need them, and how you can start running them today. Post-mortem meetings happen after any sort of outage at a software company. The goal of these meetings is to figure out what went wrong and how to prevent it from ever happening again. Now, on the outside, it looks like our website's running just fine. We're catching issues before our customers are seeing them, everyone's happy, nothing's crashing, or so we think. The head of customer support sends us a message saying the site is crashing for everyone in Europe. Shoot. We were only testing on the USA servers. So how do we react in this situation? This is important because it's more of a culture change than a coding change. Now, I found that the engineering team should take ownership of the issue quickly and in writing. Taking responsibility unapologetically and rapidly allows you to control the narrative to the rest of the organization, instead of the rest of the organization starting to come up with the stories in their head. Now, the process we follow is first, provide a quick fix for the issue right away. Whatever stops the bleeding, just get something fixed out the door. Next is to write a business disruption ticket in our issue tracker, outlining what went wrong and what the short-term and potential long-term fixes are. And then finally, schedule a post-mortem meeting with every stakeholder involved. Now, at this meeting, and this is incredibly important, don't blame anyone. And remember, the process was wrong, not the person. Once you fall into the blame game, people start sweeping issues under the rug, and you'll end up with more significant issues further down the line. What we want to do instead is figure out what went wrong, how much it cost the business, and the solutions for the short, medium, and long term. Now, one benefit of working at my previous company was we were in advertising. So it was pretty easy to estimate the impact on revenue during an outage. We had a Google Analytics graph that showed us exactly how much money we made over time. Now, if there was an outage, bloop, it would just go to zero. Not a particularly fun conversation to have with your CTO about why you didn't make $100,000 an hour, but a productive conversation nonetheless. If it's too tricky to tie an outage to revenue at your company, you could tie it to something like your net promoter score or your app store rating. Now, if you can't think of any metric to link this to, maybe it wasn't worth calling a meeting in the first place. Maybe the takeaway is to calm down. How big the disruption was determined how much effort we put into fixing that issue. So we treated a $1,000 outage and a $100,000 outage way differently. If possible, another good step is adding a check earlier in the pipeline. Here's a great example. I once worked at a company where the page stopped loading because of a misspelled import statement. Actually, I gotta be real with you. Calling it a misspelling, that was painting the issue with too broad of a brush. Here's what actually happened. MacBooks are case sensitive. Linux machines aren't case sensitive. Since the engineers on the team were using MacBooks, it worked fine on their machine. But when they released that same code to production, everything fell apart because they were running on Linux machines. Now, during the business disruption meeting, we were tossing around ideas on how to ensure this would never happen again. Our first idea was to make a really complicated end-to-end test, but you know what? That would take a few days to set up, and realistically, it was never going to be that consistent. We realized, though, there was an earlier step in our pipeline we could put these checks. We could turn on a lint rule that would yell at developers if the casing was off and if they misspelled anything. This would guarantee this particular issue would never happen again. While that outage cost us $100,000 in an hour, learning from our mistakes and guaranteeing it would never happen again saved us hundreds of thousands of dollars forever. Now, that's multiple engineer salaries, and that's why these business disruption meetings are so important. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, hit like, hit subscribe, and leave a comment if you have any questions. I'll catch you in the next video.